Hey, hey, hey! Blessings on blessings on blessings. It's moi, and I'm back. And I know they're mad, but it's not even about that because I'm not even trying to make them mad. But they they think I'm taking their man. I don't know what that was, but so we're just gonna take a moment of silence for the enemies that you have to step on because you're using them as your footstool. Man, man, it sucks. But you know what? I mean, look, if you wasn't an enemy, then you would be, with me rising. So it really don't even matter. But apparently it's like I know I say this every so often and I be like, ooh, it okay. I say this every so often where it's like, oh, now is the time and woo woo, it's time to pop out, it's time to show out, it's time to do what it is that you've been called to do. But let's just be real, right? The thing about it is you should have been doing that. Okay? So if you ain't been doing that, get on it because that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Okay? And I don't even really, I don't know, I know sometimes I can come off like, let's just go there, right? I could come off inconsiderate. I could come off mean. I can come off like I don't care. But I don't know about y'all, but I just feel like a lot of people are just so used to people lying to them. And they're just so used to people like sugarcoating stuff and like buttering their biscuits and being like, oh, yes, you're doing like stroking their ego, right? And I used to be that type of person at some point, but it's crazy because when I look back at it, I never liked that. So like I remember one time it was the feel me I got told that it was like, oh, you're just mad because I'm not stroking your ego, and I'm like, I didn't know I had an ego to stroke, but apparently that was something that was brought to my attention. But in the scriptures it says if you gotta be slow to speak and quick to listen. So it's like at the time when I heard it, it's like I heard it, right? And like, but my face was like, what you mean? Like, I don't, cause they say like when somebody's actually really listening, or like what I've learned is that when somebody actually listens, they respond in a way that kind of makes it seem like they're questioning you, or like, like they have questions, but it's like the fact that they are even open to the questions is the fact that what you said they're listening. Now, we're not going to get into the whole thing about if it's true or not. That's something that they have to declare over their life or to deny it, right? And that's something that I struggled with because it's like I would be getting told stuff like, and I would grab it, right? Like I'd be like, oh my gosh, like as far as like the ego comment, like, oh my gosh, I do have an ego and now I'm walking in my ego and I don't want to feel like I'm walking in my ego. And it's like, okay, but why did you believe that? Like, it's just like, why did you believe that? And the same person was like, later on in life, say stuff to me, whatever, and they'd be like, well, you don't have to take what I say to heart type thing. Like, and it's like, hearing it from the outside, it's like, I was like, what do you mean? Because you said it to me, so you must have meant it from your heart. Because if I say something, I mean it. I'm just saying, that's just me personally. Whether it comes off mean or whatever, I mean it. Like, if I gotta apologize later, I'll apologize later, but I mean it in that moment type thing. And then so like the like 6 9 effect of that, I was like, I didn't understand it. But now that I'm like back in my body or whatever, like it finally clicked or like the epiphany happened or whatever it is that happened, it's kind of like that's really what it boils down to. It's like I was just reading in Proverbs 12 today that it's like the truth will, I got it right here, y'all, because y'all not gonna have me out here making it seem like I'm just saying stuff just to say stuff. So it's Proverbs 12:19. Truthful word, okay, 12:19. Truthful words stand the test of time. but lies are soon exposed. So, oh, and then 12:18 to the verse before it. It says, some people make cutting remarks, but the words of the wise bring healing. Like, let's just talk about these two real quick. Like, okay, let me just reread it so those that didn't hear it. You can also just, open up your Bible too. But Proverbs 12:18 to 19. Some people make cutting remarks, but the words of the wise bring healing. Truthful words stand the test of time, but lies are soon exposed, right? So let it just marinate in your spirit real quick. You feel me? Like let it just marinate in your spirit and like let's talk about it, right? Because I want to talk about it. And I really don't want to talk about it, but let's be real. Like, let's just talk about it because I think that's the thing about when it comes down to not even just scriptures, but like, I think that's the reason why people do not like reading the scriptures and opening up their Bible because it causes them to look at themselves. Like my pastor was like, he likes to read like when he reads the Bible, he likes to put himself in the scripture. Like, let's say, okay, so with this verse, um, we'll just take it line by line. So some people make cutting remarks. Okay, so am I some people? First of all, sometimes I can be some people if I'm in my flesh, right? Um, make cutting remarks. Okay, so do I make cutting remarks? And I have in the past I've made cutting remarks because it's just like I'm gonna hurt you because you hurt me. So the only way I know how to hurt you without putting my hands on you is saying something that's meant to hurt you, right? That's meant to, like, when I say it, I want you to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she just said that to me. Or like, is she trying to be funny? Or what is she really saying behind that? Like, that type of stuff, like to mess with your head type of thing, right? But the words of the wise bring healing. Now look, let's just, I know the Holy Spirit talking because I would have never thought I was going to do this. So the words of the wise bring healing, right? See, the thing of what one of the people, somebody that I know, okay, somebody that I know, that they was talking about healing, right? And like it hit different because it's like we look at healing and it's like you hear the word and you think it's like, at least for me, I heard it and I was like, oh, it's like walking in the sunshine in a sundress and wind blowing all in your hair, or driving down the freeway with the windows down and the windows all in, all up in your hair, and you just living your best life. Like, right? That's healing, right? But see, it's that, but the thing about with healing, it's like think about a cut or like think about a broken bone, right? The process that is healing too. Even though it's not like a pretty image, it's still something that has to get back to what it was. So like if you got a broken bone, you got to go through the process of having a cast, and then you have to go through like getting your feeling back in your bone or whatever, your hand, whatever it is, leg, and like whatever it is that you're going through, it doesn't happen overnight type thing, right? So it's like, come through, come freaking through. So when people make cutting remarks, if I'm the type of person that's going to hurt you and make my words hurt you, that means that I'm going to stab you with a knife with my words. So my words is the knife that I'm stabbing you with, right? And it's going to cause a whole thing to where you have to heal, right? And but if you don't take care of it, then it just like, think of somebody, I know this is a lot, but it's like, think of somebody like stabbing you and then you just be like, take it out and you just keep walking, right? That's a cut-in remark. And like, it was meant to hurt you. But it's like, but the words of the wise bring healing. So it's like if somebody as a nurse, you get taken to the hospital and then it's like they're over here putting the bandages on, they're cleaning it out, and they're like um bandaging you up and like casting you up and all of that. It's like that is a process, right? But that's still healing. And it's like that type of healing, it's like it takes a process. Like it's not something that's just as fast as somebody hurts you, the healing process isn't easy. It doesn't matter if it's a good situation or like a bad thing. Like it don't matter if it's a slap on the face or a stab in the chest type thing, right? It still hurts. But the healing of it is like you have to get past the whole traumatic part of like what happened in your brain and like, oh my gosh, what happened even before? Now you're thinking like, oh, did I do something wrong? And it's like all of that. But it's like really having to go through that and speaking the words of speaking life into your situation, right? You can speak life into your situation and the nurse can be healing you up, but you just got stabbed. So it's just kind of like, I'm not trying to hear nothing you talking about right now because I'm still thinking about this remark that this person just did to me. But it's like, that person ain't even there no more. Like, you're in a whole new environment and you're healing. You're in your healing stage. So it's like, being the person that's using your wise word and speaking life into somebody, it's like you have to be prepared for the fact that the other person is traumatized. And if the other person is traumatized, it's not nothing towards you. It's everything that they're dealing with because of the person that they can't be mad at or like they can't go off on type thing. Not saying that it's right, but you know, like that's just really what it is. Like it's like I think a lot of people just think that things are supposed to happen overnight, and although some things can happen overnight, that doesn't mean that it's gonna last. I mean, yeah, one moment you can like once you go through the whole process, it could probably feel like overnight that like to like the outside looking in, like, oh, they didn't really have to go through nothing, but it's like they're really going through physical therapy and they're really taking the necessary steps to heal. If you're really healing, because if you're not really healing, you're just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna walk around with this blood just gushing around and like I'm not even gonna worry about it. Like, you know, it'll heal when it heals type thing. And it's like I've been in both situations where it's like I look at a situation where, oh, like it's not really nothing, it's just whatever, like that's trauma, right? It's different type of traumas. I mean, maybe this I don't really know, but I'm gonna just keep talking about it. Like I think that's the thing. It's like we think that, oh, it's just supposed to be easy and it's just supposed to be like, oh, we don't have to talk about it. But it's like we really got to get down to the nitty gritty and we got to talk about things that we don't want to talk about that is uncomfortable. That is kind of like, well, why do you want to talk about this? Like, I don't want to open up type thing. Okay, you don't have to open up. But that's just delaying your healing process. Because the only way you're going to be able to get wise words out of somebody is going to the doctors type thing. Like if you don't go to the doctors, how are you going to be able to get the wise words? And I'm speaking to myself too. So it just goes, truthful words stand the test of time, but lies are soon exposed. So it's like, if you're walking in your truth, if you're healing and all that, it's going to show that you're healing. If you're lying about it and if you're just like, oh, well, I'm not going to like take care of it, it's going to show because nothing's going to improve type thing, right? So it's like, if you're just in a place where it's like you just want things easy, you just want things like given to you, you just want things to just come to you, but you don't want to really put in the work, like, how is that beneficial to you and even those around you type thing, right? It's like, what is it that you can do that even though in the moment it may seem like it's hurting, but it's really not. It's because you're so used to just doing things quick, right? doing things quick and just being like, okay, well, let me just get my next fix. And once I get my next fix, I'll worry about what it is that I need to worry about later. And then you're over here looking back 2, 3 days later or weeks later, and you're like, dang, I could have just really got up and just had that tough conversation or did that tough thing that was so scary in my mind or so far fetched from me or whatever, so far out of reach or whatever, that I just really got up and stood up and I faced it. Like, and then you realize that the lies, the devil, whatever is exposed, because it's like, if you over here, it's another Proverbs that was like, the wicked run when nobody's chasing them, but the godly stands firm as, like, the godly stands firm boldly as a lion. So it's just kind of like, are you choosing to run away from facing your demons or facing the ugly, facing the healing process? Because the healing process is not pretty. It's not something that you really want to put on camera. Like, it's not something that you're like, oh yeah, look, everybody see. It's the things that you don't want to put on camera. It's the things that you kind of want to hide. It's the things that you don't even want to really talk about, because it's like, if you talk about it, now it's like you're bleeding out and you're bleeding in, like, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, it's not, it's just not beneficial to nobody. And why would you want to be in a space where you feel like you can't talk? Like, speak up, like, say what it is that you have to say, inquire the things that you have to inquire. Whether it is that you look crazy or not, whether it is that people agree with you or not, is not their problem. It's your problem. Because if you're over here worried about, oh, what if somebody says this, like, what if they feel like this, what if they say that, you're giving them the authority and the power over you to have control over you, to be like, oh yeah, don't say nothing and you better not say nothing. And then really, if you really get down to the realness of it, that's not even how they really feel. A lot of people really just want you to say what it is that you have to say. It don't matter if they your enemy or not. I'm gonna keep it real. Like, people want people to talk. It's just that people are so used to just cutting remarks and just likes and like posts and like all of that, that it's like, when they actually hear a real person talking about real things that doesn't have to do with glamour and doesn't have to do with beauty and doesn't have to do with, oh my gosh, let me just cover this up so nobody sees it, that they actually have depth. They're not surface level. It's like, that's not something that they're used to, because they're used to just keeping it up for the Kardashians. But why do we need to keep it up for the Kardashians? We don't even know them. Like, let's be real. They put their whole business out or whatever, like, whatever. People like that. Or like and I don't, look, people like that just put on this facade of like, oh, I got everything together, and because I got money and like all I have to do, okay, so what if everybody is looking at me and they look at me looking like I'm crazy and I'm doing crazy stuff for the money, and I'm doing crazy stuff just to be seen, just to be heard, woo, woo, woo. That's a difference from actually really wanting to be like, okay, so what is it that really made you feel this way? Like, the stuff that make you stutter, the stuff that make you mouth your words and not say nothing, but you want to say something so bad, and then it's like nothing comes out. That type of conversations, the type of conversations that make you twiddle with your fingers and bite your nails, and the type of conversation that make you feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be too loud with this. And it's like, them type of conversations. Okay? Because everybody likes to have the conversation where it's like, oh yeah, we get money and we do this and we just living in this fantasy that isn't even real, and real life over here trying to impress people that don't even care about us. And then it's like, really being in front of the people that care about you, and you're acting like they don't care about you. You feel me? All because you feel all types of jittery, or you feel all types of, oh my gosh, you can see me, like you can see me and I can't hide in front of you. Them type of conversations. The type of conversations where it's just kind of like, I mean, it's going to be a rough start, but you know, at the end of that conversation that things is going to change, because when people are so used to just not wanting to change, that's when they don't want to have the conversations. That's when they just want to keep going and just being like, oh, well, it don't even matter. Like, no, like, talk about it, because why not? Obviously, it's a time and a place for things. It's not, like I said, it's not about broadcasting your life in front of somebody, but it's like, if you really want change and you really want to see things healed, like for real, and you want to get rid of the blood, you want to get rid of the scars, you want to get rid of the scabs, it's like you have to see the doctor. And it's like, not even just like the doctor physically, the doctor Jesus. Like, Jesus, really, honestly, that's the main doctor you got to see. You got to talk to him. He will give you the answers. I'm living proof. I'm a walking testimony that if you really talk to Jesus and you want to know the real deal nitty gritty about you, he's going to show you the real deal nitty gritty about you when it comes down to you dealing with people around you. And you're going to see yourself. You're going to see yourself. Whether you are prepared for it or not, you're going to see yourself. But would you rather be in a place where you over here walking around bleeding and you cannot see that, but everybody else sees that you're bleeding, but you can't see it? That doesn't even make sense when you say it out loud like that. It's like you walking around cut up, beat up, and then everybody's looking at you like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Is this da 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 da? And then you're just like, oh, I'm good. I'm just finna pop a perk, or I'm just finna get drunk, and I'm just not even gonna worry about it because I don't even know what you're talking about. And it's just like, everybody's just like, but you're literally bleeding out. Like, like you're literally bleeding out. I don't get it. Like, and it's just like, I don't say that in a joking manner to where it's like I'm laughing at the people that are like really bleeding, but it's just kind of like I'm laughing because I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it either, because it's like we really get down to talking about things and it just seems like you realize that it's like it's so much wrong with you that it makes you just want to go and hide in a corner and curl up. And it's just like, shine bright like a freaking diamond. You are going through the pressures for a reason. Diamonds are built under pressure. You're getting built under pressure, okay? Gold is found in mines. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta really go through, you gotta put in work to find a diamond. You gotta put in work to find some gold. You gotta put in work to actually have stability. You have to put in work to actually have compassion towards somebody that you probably feel doesn't need compassion. You gotta put work into you to be able to give it to somebody else. So you cannot just give compassion to everybody else. You cannot give stability to somebody else. You can't just give out money to somebody else if you don't have it. If you don't have it, be okay in the fact that you don't have it and face that. Because the only way you're going to be able to get through it is if you face it. Because if you keep acting like, oh yeah, I got it, I got this, and woo, 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 then it is what it is. Like, that's just the life you chose to have. Unless you want to choose to have the life of healing. And the life of healing is going to be some tough conversations that people don't really want to have. But it's like, also, I realize it's like, when it comes down to healing, not everybody is, as much as I don't want to talk about this, and I'm talking about this, I'm learning to give people the opportunity to talk, as well as I'm also giving me the opportunity to open my mouth and talk too, because it's like, if I'm able to listen to somebody else and listen to what it is that they feel, then I should be able to be okay with the fact that I can express myself too. Because if I can't express myself too, then there's no reason for me to be around, you know? Like, if I'm not able to cry it out, or even be like, okay, well, if I gotta be drunk to tell you, if I can't tell you sober, then it's something I'm still really having to deal with and I have to process and I have to get it together because I'm not going to be that type of person. I used to be that type of person where it's like, oh, I would have to drink to have a conversation. And it's like every time I would drink and have the conversation never went the way that I was supposed to go anyway. So it's just kind of like, that's just me personally. Maybe other people can have it with them. But me, when you go through this healing process, you realize who it is that you are and who it is that you're not. And once you realize who it is that you're not and you realize who you are, you realize that you don't have to do nothing that you're not. All you have to do is do everything that you are, and all you have to do is just be everything that God called you to be and not what anybody else wants you to be. And whether it's a hard conversation or not is really between you and God. Because if you're able to face it and come with God, there's no way that it's not gonna go the way that one God wants it to go, or even for you, because everything works out for your good, and that's just that. So I'm gonna just leave it at that, and you feel me, I know that was a little, but we gonna get deeper, and